In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Monday night. It's Linda's birthday. Linda Davis, happy birthday. Nice to see you. Happy birthday, Linda. Happy birthday, Linda. Happy birthday, Linda. Happy birthday, Linda. And many more. It's the best I can do, sorry. I'd sing it for real, but I can't do it anymore. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having all your dreams come true and all your wishes granted and fantasies fulfilled and toes curling and everything. I hope you have it all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time with your family, and I hope you enjoy tonight being here with us, your other family. And now, it's Untethered Live, Bible Study Night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight, we're in the book of Enoch. In the book of Astronomy, chapter 1, verse 1. That's where we're picking up. That's where we left off last night. That's where we're picking up tonight. Who's in the chat? Kevin Cox? How you doing? Sorry. That was a Freudian slip. Kevin Bernard. Hi. Nice to see you. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. It just popped right out of my mouth. Maybe he's talking about me. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. You get a gold star for being first in chat. Amanda says, here's your gold star, Kev. And Amy says, what Amanda said. Amanda says, hi, Kevin, and hi, Amy. Amy says, hi, Amanda and Jake. Hi, sweet darling. Did you wish Linda a happy birthday? Amanda says, happy birthday, Linda. I got to learn a new way to sing that song. I can't hit the high note anymore. Maybe I could do it like restaurant style. Happy, 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 happy birthday. Happy, happy birthday to you. Maybe I could do it like that. Anyway, it's birthday. Candles, music, candelabras, and fireworks. That's the best I can do. I hope you like it. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. I hope everybody had a good day. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? I am fantastic. My hoodies arrived today, so they're in the shop. They're being fixed now as we speak, and they will be out this week. So, I can't wait. I'm excited. I can't show you them when they're done, though, because I want it to be a surprise when you get it. So, I'm not going to show you mine. I'm going to keep one. I'm going to keep two. One for me and one for the band hammer. She deserves it. She earned it. Amanda says, Amy, hamburger helper hand. Amy says, Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. He's down for whatever happens. That's correct. Born for adversity is another way of saying he's got your back 24/7. It don't matter what's happening. No questions asked. He's in. Also, Colossians 3:14. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Without love, there is no reason to live. That is the reason we're here. Love. To love our Father, to love each other as we love ourselves. That's the whole purpose. That's it in a nutshell, folks. I've read the Bible many times now, and I can tell you that's what it all boils down to. So if you ever have that question pop up, why are we here? What is the meaning of all of this? Love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. Amy says, I'm at work. It's really slow, but at least I'm getting some comp time built up. Amen to that. At least somebody's making some money. That's a good thing. Judy says, hi, everyone. Hey, Judy. Nice to see you. Did you wish Linda a happy birthday? Patty cake bakers, man. What's up, Patty? Patty says, hello, children. Smiley, smiley. Hey, Patty. Did you wish Linda a happy birthday? Judy says, hey, Kevin. And Linda's here. She says, good evening, everybody. Hey, Linda. Happy birthday. Judy says, happy birthday, birthday girl. Or, hey, happy birthday, girl. One or the other. Amanda says, Judy and Patty, hamburger helper hand. And Judy says, hey, Patty. Amber's here. She says, hamburger helper hands all over the place. Hey, Amber. Amanda says, there's the birthday girl, Linda. Is that enough fanfare? If I had a noise maker, I'd be using it right now. Amber says, good evening, friends and family. Good evening, Amber. How art thou? And Judy says, happy birthday, Linda. Amanda says, Amber, hamburger helper hand. Amber, hamburger helper hand. I'm going to trip over that every time I say it. I can see it now. Amber says, I'm getting a cup of coffee. I'm a step ahead of you. I got a nice hot cup right here. Don't you want to have a cup with me? If so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself up a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's get after it. If you don't have a cup, though, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It has my face on it. This one, it's fantastic. But we also have stainless steel tumblers down there. Big ones and little ones with locking lids. They keep your coffee hot for hours. They got the Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front and all the platforms on the back. Keep your coffee hot for hours, and they look good, too. Make a great conversation starter, or they'll win a fight if you're in a pinch. Pop somebody in the eye with it. Like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box. But if you want to show a little love, if you want to, you can do that at CashApp, $ Jake Johnson Band, or PayPal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. And I greatly appreciate it if you do. I work hard. I show up. I'm on time. I do my job. It's worth it. Anyway, one more thing. If you'd like to hang out with us outside of the YouTuberverse, get to know us on a personal level, you can do that over at Facebook.com/UntetheredLive chillin'. The link is in the chat. It's a great place to share pictures, videos, texts, and chats, and get to know each other. And also, there's a group chat over there for the people of the show so that you can communicate various private details that you don't want to put in regular chat. You can do it in a group chat over there, and it's private, and it's yours, and it's free, and why not? Go check it out. Also, it is updated regularly throughout the week with videos and memes that are adjacent to the things we talk about here on the channel. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's free. Go do it. And now, on with the show. Also, be looking for your hoodies in a couple weeks. They're coming. They're in the shop right now. They got here today. So they will be made and finished and out in the mail sometime this week. If you are lucky enough to have gotten one. If you missed out, you just missed out. The next time I tell you to send me your address, do it. Anyway, moving on. Debbie's here. She says, howdy all y'all. Hey, Debbie. Tip of the hat. Nice to see you. Amy says, like, shared, and invited some friends. I like it. Thank you. Patty says, hi, Miss Judy. Prayers. Judy says, hey, Amber. And Amanda says, Debbie, hamburger helper hand. Amber says, oh, and happiest of birthdays, Linda. Lots and lots of hieroglyphics. And birthday cakes and flowers and dancing girls and prayers and smiley faces with herpes. Oh, my, and stars. You got it all there. No unicorns, though. Everything but unicorns. A big old flying, one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. That's what you need. And Judy says, hey, Debbie. Patty says, happy birthday, Miss Linda Rose. And Amanda says, here's the link to the to the Facebook chilling page if you want to check that out. There it is right there. Amber says, hamburger helper hands again all over the place. Amy says, Amber, Judy, Patty, Deborah, and the birthday girl, Linda. Hamburger helper hand. And Linda says, thank you, everyone, with a big old heart. Well, you're certainly welcome. Very much so. Amy says, how's your blood sugar, Gigi? Glitter grounds. Gigi. Gigi. Is what we're going to call you from now on, Gigi. Amanda says, Capricorns, goats, they rule. Goats do rule. They jump up on top of your house. Kevin Bernard says, hello, everyone, and happy birthday, Linda. Sorry about the name drop a minute ago. That just slipped out. I know what your name is. It just came out. I was on autopilot. It happens. Amy says, press that like button and share. Yes, please do. Share the video with everyone you know. Be a pro, don't you know? Be a pro. Share the show with everyone you know. It's me, Jake.0. I stole that part. Amber says, trying to check now, Amy. It's been in the mid 200s, so normalish for me. Thank you for asking. Or Judy says, thanks, Amy. I forgot. And Judy says, oh, so cute, Jake. Thank you. Thank you. Amber says, I've liked and shared and remembered all chat. Excellent. You were on the ball tonight, aren't you, Amber? Amber says, yay me. Amy says, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And Amy says, hello, lurker friends. Please like and subscribe. If you're out there listening but not participating, just know that we know you're there. Hit that like button and subscribe. You can keep right on listening in the background if you wish, but you can come up to the front and say something if you like. We would be interested in knowing who you are. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, you're behind, and we've been wishing Linda a happy birthday all day. I know. I'm not behind. I was the first one to, I think. Or at least I tried to be. I don't quite get up with the birds, so I may have missed, but I tried to be the first one. Amanda says, you got to catch up to us on the birthday wishes. I hear you. Well, that's why you're there, to make sure that that gets handled, because I can't think of everything. I got a lot of irons in the fire. I'm all over the place. You are the anchor, so good job. Amy says, Amanda, you're saying Jake is a little behind? And Linda says, you're all the best. Kisses and hearts. You're the best. Really, I mean that. Amanda says, definitely, Amy. And Amy says, I only had 3 cigarettes today. Congratulations. That's a hard job to do. Amber says, nothing. Amy says, Morse code, Amber? You forget the dashes. Or you forgot the dashes. I'm not playing hangman over chat. Linda says, I've been so sick the last few days, I wish I was able to go celebrate. Aw. I'm going to try to make it through tonight's read. Well, I'm sorry you feel so bad. Is there anything we can do for you? Is there anything you need? You got the prayers. You don't even have to ask for that. That's a given. Amy says, Linda, hugs and prayers. See? Amber says, Jake the unicorn and glitter are in the mail to Miss Linda. All right. Excellent. Thank you. And Amanda says, oh, Linda Hunt, feel better soon. Go rest if you need to. We love you. You know we do. And you know that I don't expect you to sit up if you feel bad. I won't think nothing of it if you have to go lay down. And Judy says, so sorry, Linda. Amber says, thank you for noticing the unicorn's missing. I pay attention. Amy says, LOL, punctuation is important, Amber. You just said Jake the Unicorn. Yep, Jake the Unicorn and Glitter. That's me. And apparently I'm in the mail. Punctuation. What a wonderful thing. Amber says, uh-oh, now Linda knows. Open the card over something mess-friendly. Yes, open the card over a dump truck would be my advice. Kevin says, Linda, I hope you feel better soon. I do, too. And Linda says, LOL, Amber, I did that with your Christmas card. Smiley face. Amy says, how many years are you today, Miss Linda? 32? Are you a 32-year-old? Amber says, Hoodie, I'm worried, LOL. Why are you worried? And Linda says, LOL. Well, we'll go with that, Amy. Yeah, we'll go with 32. That sounds good to me. I'd give anything to be 32 again. I'm working on 32 again, actually. It won't be that long. Another few years. Amber says, Amy, fabulous. Fabulous. Madison's here. Hey, Madison. Madison says, hiya, Jake and everyone. Hi, darling. How are you? Nice to see you. How are things in your neck of the woods? Hey. Judy says, hey, Madison. And Amanda says, Madison, hamburger helper hand. That's a good cup of coffee. Thank you very much. I've been needing that. Amber says, Madison, hearts and prayers, welcome. Amen to that. It's a beautiful day for a good read. It's been nice and calm all day. Steady work all day. Getting her done. You know how it is. Amanda says, you're welcome, Jake, for the coffee. Thank you. Madison says, going good, thanks. Excellent. Amy says, the Bible talks about being kind to strangers because you never know if one could be an angel. This ties into our reading from the last couple of weeks. Yes, it does. And it is emphatic about that. It says to be careful as to how you treat people that you don't know because you might be entertaining angels unaware, which means that they can take the form of a regular old person and you'd never know it was an angel. So apparently they're quite good at blending in and looking the part. So I'm guessing you wouldn't even know it if an angel was standing right beside you. And Amy says, hi, Madison. Madison. Hi, Madison. I can talk. I can do it. I can make it. I can make it for a day or two without you. I might even make it through the night. It's terrible. Terrible. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, Madison. Are you guys about ready? We're at the bottom of the chat. So I might as well mark it off and get going. At 8:50. If you got a Bible handy, well, hang on to it. We'll need it in a month or two. But if you got a book of Enoch, open it up. If you got an Ethiopian Bible, you can open it up. The book of Enoch's in that. Otherwise, I'll provide one for you. And it's on the screen now. Now, as I've told you before, this is not, I repeat, this is not my area of expertise. I do not have an authority on this particular subject. I do have an authority on the things that it talks about. I am a scholar of the Bible, and from that, I can infer things that we read from this book to be true or truthful or in the right vein of thinking or totally incorrect. I can pick up on those things sometimes. So as we go, I'm learning as you are, and I'm allowing time in between verses to parse and kind of mull over and go down rabbit holes in my mind to see what connects up with the Bible. So what I'm looking for is connections. How much of this book is like that book? How closely are they related? Because it was, in fact, one time in the Bible. So my guess is it was originally intended to be part of the Bible. So that's why it is so close in connection. And it so far, although it's from a different point of view and from a different perspective and from a different understanding from the guy who's writing this book, it's pretty much telling the same story, maybe with a little more detail than we get from the Bible, but in some cases. But it's the same stuff. I mean, all of it's mentioned and referenced in the Bible, all the stuff that we've covered so far. I've been told that a couple of the books don't square with the Bible, but I haven't found that to be true yet. Obviously, that's going by someone else's word rather than knowing myself. So that's the whole point in reading it, so that I know myself. And now, after this experience, I will have a body of work that you can look at and go, here it is. This is the book of Enoch, and this is what's correct about it. And then we can discuss that in relationship to the Bible, and I will no longer be in the dark about this period of time. And I'm hoping to solve that problem with quite a few books, such as the book of Jasher, the book of Maccabees, and so forth. So we'll get to those things as we go. But in the meantime, let's start the third book of Enoch, the book of Astronomy, chapter 72, and it reads, the book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, singular, the relation of each according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, an angel, the holy angel who was with me, who is their guide, showed me, the stars' guide. Now, I said stars. This book called it luminaries, and it makes a distinction between the two. So I want you to understand that when it uses the word stars, it is not saying the same thing as it is saying when it uses the word luminaries, although we would consider that to be the same thing. Apparently, there's a difference. Is our sun a star? I don't know that to be true. I've looked at a few stars in telescopes. They don't look the same to me. They're not even the same color. They don't act the same. They don't shimmer the same. That could be distance, and that could be because I'm looking at a luminary and not a star. I don't know. But according to the Bible, at least metaphorically, the stars are angels. They're one and the same. Metaphorically. I don't know if they are actually angels. That wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know that to be true. But I think there is a distinction between luminaries and stars, like there are distinctions between angels and archangels. I think that's the comparison we're looking at here. So we'll see as it goes. He showed me all their laws exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world and unto eternity. Remember that the world was created first, before the stars. I know that that goes contrary to science, but you'll find out that more than likely it's true, because everything thus far that the Bible has stated that science has proved the Bible to be correct. So there's that. So the earth was created first, and the universe was quite literally created around it and then stretched out, according to our Bible. So that's what he's saying here, that those stars are in relationship to the earth. They have something to do with how the earth functions. And there's laws that they follow, laws written by a lawgiver, nonetheless. till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity, or endureth till eternity, which lasts until eternity. This new creation is what happens after Judgment Day. You know, God's going to create the world back to the way he originally created it, which was to be inhabited from the get-go. That's the way it was designed, and we've corrupted it, and a lot of things have happened to it, the flood and so forth. He's going to put it back to its natural state. That's the new creation. The Bible says that the old heaven and the old earth will pass away, and a new one will be put in their place. So that's what he's talking about. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven singular, and its setting in the western portal of heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets. And the moon rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars, and those whom they led, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also, many windows to the right and left of these portals, and first there goes forth the great luminary named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, singular, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. There's the first thing that's wrong. There is no fire on the sun. Just so you know, it's plasma, it's not fire. Fire requires oxygen and fuel. That's not what the sun is doing. The sun is using a chemical reaction much like fusion. It's more like fission. It's not a nuclear explosion exactly, but it's in that vein. It's not fire, though. So he is clearly talking in metaphor, obviously, because he calls it the chariot on which he ascends, the chariot on which the sun ascends. This is the Egyptian way of looking at things. The wind drivers, interesting, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heaven. And in this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th of those 6 portals in the cast. Okay, so what he's talking about, if you ever took a time lapse of the 12 months of sunrises, you'll notice that the sun rises a little further every day down the horizon. And it does that at least 12 times. So if you're looking towards the east, you would see 6 times that it does that. And if you're looking to the west, you would see 6 times it does that. That's what he's talking about. And obviously the sun doesn't rise or set. That's just what it looks like from our perspective here on this plane. If we were outside, it doesn't move according to where we would be on the outside, according to our perspective. If we were outside of the galaxy, we would see a very different set of motions going on. But according to where you are on this earth, that is what you would see. So I'm guessing he's basically describing verbally what you would write down if you tried to write down a calendar of how the seasons move, right? So it's like a farmer's almanac, but verbally is what I'm getting out of this. And by the way, the first month is April, not January. January, February, March, April. That would be the 4th portal. Get it? Also accurate. The sun rises in the first month in the 4th portal. which is the fourth out of 6. And in that fourth portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceedeth a flame when they are opened in their season. What? We're talking about cosmic rays here. Think about it. When the sun rises in the heaven, singular, he comes forth through that fourth portal 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven, singular. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night becomes nightly shorter to the 30th morning. Now we're talking about the equinoxes. It's interesting that a caveman knew all of this. The average person doesn't know all of this. I mean, everybody knows there's 12 months in a year, and that in the wintertime the days are shorter. But do you know exactly how many days are shorter and when they start changing? Do you know every rule that goes along with how the sun moves and how it continues to do so throughout the ages? That's what he's saying. Not only is he accurately describing it, he accurately described it in a way that would not change forever, and to this day is exactly the same as the way he wrote it down 4,000 years ago. That's pretty impressive. That sun is ticking, and he knew it would tick, and he knew it wouldn't change. Now, how could he have known that 4,000 years ago? A lot can happen in 4,000 years, but not that. That stays the same. That's a law. It doesn't break. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that fourth portal for 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night becomes nightly shorter on the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by the 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that fourth portal, and sets in the fourth portal, and returns to the fifth portal, which is exactly how it goes around the world, like that. And returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it, and sets in the fifth portal. Then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts at night, and the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts. He's describing the sun and the moon as they traverse around the world as we go through the seasons. Now, the reason this happens exactly as he's describing it is because the Earth is not sitting on the axis like this. It's actually at a 23.4 degrees tilt, which causes it to rotate slightly off axis, right? So if the sun is shining, it's only hitting a portion of the Earth at this time of year. As the Earth rotates, it rotates and it wobbles, so it reaches all the way diagonally across the Earth. If the Earth was flat, you'd see a diagonal line across it. That's the path that the sun takes throughout the seasons, which is why we have wind and ocean currents and cold and hot air moving about, which causes convection, causes the hurricanes and the tornadoes and the clouds and all of the effervescence of the dew and the evaporation of the waters and the rains. Because the Earth is tilted, all of that happens. Nowhere else on the universe does it happen like that, because every other planet is set stationary on its axis. Ours is tilted towards the sun in half of the year and away from the sun in the other half of the year. That is why we have uniquely 4 seasons. Those 4 seasons are what's necessary for a life to flourish, because without it, we would freeze to death or burn to death, but that's all we would do. That's amazing that he's picked up on this. That's proof of God right there. Why else would it be that way? It's just perfect for human life. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts. And the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal. And rises and sets in the 6th portal 1 and 30 mornings. There's 31 mornings. Remember, there's 1 month that has 1 extra day in it. That's it. On account of its sign, or its month. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night. And the day becomes double the night. And the day becomes 12 parts. And the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make a day shorter and a night longer, and the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7, as it was before. So it's reversed its cycle now. It's going back the other way. And the sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west and goes east and rises in the 5th portal. It's going backwards. 30 mornings, and sets in the west in the 5th western portal. And on that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. Now, I don't know if you understand what's happening here, but if you're mathematically inclined, you'll notice the degradation of numbers, how it goes by 1, and then it goes by 2, and then it goes by 1, and then it goes by 2. What he is describing, if you were to plot that out on a piece of paper, bear with me, you'll find out I'm right about this. If you were to plot out what he's saying on a piece of paper, if you were to draw what he's describing, you would come away with an Earth that is not round. You would have a Earth that is an oblate spheroid. It's fat in the middle and skinny on both ends. Looks kind of like a fat egg, right? Guess what the Earth happens to be? An oblate spheroid. Despite all of the pictures that NASA has pushed out into the public that describes it as a sphere, it is not a sphere. Ask any scientist worth his salt, he'll tell you the Earth is an oblate spheroid. It is round, but it's fat in the middle where the equator is. What he is describing is exactly that. The days can't be uniform because it takes more as it goes through the sky, as it gets closer to the equator, as it goes into the what's the word I'm looking for? It goes from Sagittarius to Cancer or something like that. I can't remember what that's called, the precession. Anyway, as it goes outward, it gets closer to the equator. And that's what causes the middle parts of the Earth to be hotter than the top and lower parts. So that's what he's describing here, and it works out to be exactly that. He's not using the kind of language we'd use, but basically that's what he's saying. And the sun goes forth from the 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west and rises in the 4th portal for 1 and 30 mornings, going back to that 31-day month. On account of its sign, and sets in the west, and on that day the day is equalized with the night, and becomes of equal lengths. The night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from the portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west in the 3rd portal. And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, and the night becomes longer than the night, and the day shorter than the day, till the 30th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. So they have reversed now. It's the exact opposite of what it was going. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the 3rd portal in the west and returns to the east for 30 mornings, and rises in the 2nd portal in the east and in like manner sets in the second portal in the west of the heaven, singular. And on that day, the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7. And the sun rises on that day from that second portal, and sets in the west on the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 31 mornings, and sets in the first portal and in the west of the heaven, singular. And on that day, the night becomes longer and amounts to double that of the day. And the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. This is what is colloquially known as daylight savings time. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit. Notice the word orbit to describe what the sun is doing. And turns again on those divisions of his orbit twice, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it. Now, obviously, he understands that the sun isn't setting. That's our perspective, because he calls the sun orbiting. He says it twice. So he gets that we're going around it, or it's going around us, one of the two. He gets that. He understands that the planes are moving. So that's pretty interesting there. 4,000 years ago. So anybody that ever tells you, well, they thought the earth was flat back then. No, they didn't. Does this sound like a flat earth to you? Could you get what he's describing on a flat earth? I guess we're going to go all the way back through the procession in the opposite direction now. And on that night, has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7, and the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and returns to those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day, the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day, the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heaven, singular. And on that day, the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as it is to the days 364. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arises through the course of the sun. These distinctions are made and separated, so it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and the course of the sun, and his return as often as he returns 60 times and rises, i.e., the great luminary which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which thus rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according as the Lord commanded. He rises, as he rises, so he sets, and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. Now, 7-fold. It says the sun is 7-fold brighter than the moon. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the math is on that. I'd say it don't sound true, but it might be. As far as the size being equal, here's an interesting thing about the sun, if I believe science. I don't know. I haven't been out there. I haven't stood out there with a ruler or a tape measure or a plumb bob. I don't know. I can only infer what I've been taught, And I've been taught that the sun is 93 million miles away from the Earth, and the sun is 253,000 miles from the Earth, which so happens to be exactly 400 times closer to the Earth than the sun is. I think that's how it works out. I might have the numbers fudged, but it's exactly the same amount smaller than the sun as it is closer than the sun. Both of those two numbers are the exact same number. The sun is that many times larger than the moon and that many times farther away from the Earth than the moon, so that they are exactly the same size when you look at them from the ground. They can cover each other exactly, like nothing hanging out on either side. It's a perfect match. They're perfectly aligned in the sky. That don't happen anywhere else in the galaxy that we've been able to observe. This is the only place that the planets and the bodies are that closely aligned. It's quite interesting, considering that our moon is about 5 times bigger than any other planet's moons. We got a big moon. It's almost a planet. It's the same size comparatively to Pluto, which is why they called it an asteroid and not a planet. Anyway, moving on. I would be interesting to find out exactly how much brighter the sun is than the moon, because it says 7 times here, or 7-fold. I'd like to see if that's accurate. Anybody got a way of figuring that out? Let me know. Chapter 73. And after this law, I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon. We got that. Another thing I would like to point out. He said that the year was exactly 364 days. We've been playing with this for a while. And sometimes we went by 364, sometimes we went by 365. We've got it narrowed down now to 364 and a half days, or 0.7 days, something like that. That's why we have a leap year, to compensate for that little bit that we can't quite figure it out. The Bible says it's exactly 364 days. Maybe we should try that. I bet it would work out. I bet if you changed to denominators of 10 rather than 12, that's the wrong word. You know what I'm talking about. You count by 12s, 12 months in a year. If you went down to 10 months, I bet it would work out. I'm not a mathematician, but I bet you could figure out a way to do that. Chapter 73, the moon. And her circumference is like the circumference of heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and the light is given to her in definite measure. And her rising and setting changes every month. I wanted to describe something to you. This man, Enoch, for all intents and purposes, according to science, is a caveman. He doesn't own a telescope. He's never been in a spaceship. He's never left the planet's surface. Yet he just said something here that I want you to hear. She rides, driven by the wind, and her light is given to her in definite measure. Think about that. Yes, the moon definitely produces its own light. It has some kind of something similar to what we have in fireflies' tails. I'm trying to think of that word. No, the rock that it comes from. You know, the thing that makes fireflies glow. I can't think of the word. Somebody save me. I'm getting there, Bill. I'm having a senior moment. Give me a second. Phosphorescence. Thank you. Phosphorescence. The moon has phosphorescence, but it's very, very dull. You have to really be looking for it to find it, and it only happens in small areas. It's not the whole surface of the moon. It's in little areas. It does make its own light. But when you look up into the sky and see the moon and it's shining so bright, that's because the sun is shining on it from across the way. It's reflecting the sunlight because the dirt on the moon is not dirt, it's regolith, which is shards of shiny crystals, right? Like broken glass. And it's very reflective. It's like a mirror. And the sun is hitting it and bouncing off and hitting us full blast. So that's what we see when we see the moon. Now, if the sun wasn't there, we'd still see the moon. It'd still be effervescing light. But it would be very, very, very much dimmer because it doesn't produce a lot of light. The light we see from it comes from the sun. And he just said that. And there's only one way he would know that is if he saw it himself or if God told him. 2 ways he'd know it. Because he certainly didn't figure that out. Because I lived my entire life until I was an adult before I learned that. And I looked at the moon every night and just assumed it was bright. Never even occurred to me that it wasn't making light. So, kudos, Enoch. Sorry about that. I lost that word and I couldn't move past it. And her days are like the days of the sun. And when her light is uniform, full moon, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun. So when it's a full moon, it's 7 times dimmer than the sun is. All right, there we go. So it's not always that. That makes sense. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. And on that day, she becomes visible. After a new moon, that will be the crescent moon? And constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And on the 1/2 of her goes forth by the 7th part. And the 1/2 of her goes forth by the 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, or the crescent. And that's correct. And the 14th part of her light, when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part of the half thereof. And she sets with the sun. And when the sun rises, the moon rises with him and receives half of the 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the commencement of the lunar day, the moon sets with the sun and is invisible that night with the 14th parts and the half of the 1 of them. That's the new moon, right? That's when you can't see the moon. It's on the same side as the sun. That's why you can't see it. There's another thing that happens. It starts with a C, and it happens often enough that they named it, where the sun and the moon both rise in the same hemisphere, and you can see them both in the same hemisphere at the same time. I've seen it before. I know you have too. There's a name for that, but it very rarely ever happens. Most of the time, they're on opposite sides, or some version of it. So he's correctly describing how the moon works in relationship to the sun. It's just a little hard to read. What? Swigsy? I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Put it in the chat. I think I might have. Yep. I definitely lost my place there. Give me a second. The one half of her goes forth by the seventh part, and her whole circumference is empty without light. I read that part. And when the sun rises and the moon rises with him, I read that part. In the commencement of the lunar day, the moon sets with the sun and the invisible that night. I read that. And she rises on that day with exactly the seventh part and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun. And in her remaining days, she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. That's the full moon side. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these, Uriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed to me, the leader of all of the luminaries. So Uriel is the guy making all this stuff go around and stay in time. And I liken the planet's motion to the ticking of a clock, because they're all moving in time with one another. And if anything gets out of balance, it could throw the whole thing apart. If you've ever watched a tire get balanced, right, and they put the little lead thing on the top and spin the tire, and then they put the little lead thing on the top and it balances the tire out. Think about that motion, the circular motion, and those little lead pieces. Those are the planets, and all of them are perfectly lined and perfectly timed out to where everything just kind of functions the way it's supposed to. If anything moves, it throws the whole thing out of whack, and there's something has to adjust somewhere to get it back into order. That's pretty interesting, that there's an angel that keeps all of that in line. That angel showed to me and their positions, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights till 15 days were accomplished. In single seventh parts she accomplished all her light in the east, and in a single seventh parts accomplished all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pushes her own peculiar course. That's when the sun and the moon are in the same hemisphere. In 2 months, the moon sets with the sun. In those 2 middle portals, the third and the fourth. And she goes forth for 7 days and turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes from the sun in the 8th days, entering the 6th portal from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the 4th portal, she goes forth 7 days until she goes forth from the 5th and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th portal and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days, and she returns again in the 7 days into the 4th portal from which the sun goes down. 9's in the wrong place there. Supposed to be in the margin. From which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their portion, how the moons rose and the sun sets in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days, and all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years. And when they are full, amount to 364 days. He's describing the precession of a year. And the overplus of the sun and of the stars amount to 6 days. And in 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days. And the moon falls behind the sun and the stars to the number of 30 days. So there's a 30-day precession of the moon. It's actually 28 days, but there's 30 days in a month, so do your own math. I guess there's 2 days of being no moon. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity. Not one day do they overcompensate. They are exactly on time. So that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. And in 3 years, there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years, 1,820 days, so that in 8 years, there are 2,912 days. I want you to think about something. There's a leap year every 4 years to compensate for this portion of a day that we can't seem to get right in our math. And also, I want you to think about the 11-year cycle of the sun. It has an 11-year solar maximus and an 11-year solar minimum, right, where the flares up. I wonder if he's going to mention that. We'll see. For the moon alone, the days amount to 3 years. The days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days. And in 5 years, she falls 50 days behind to the sum of 1,770 days. There is 5 to be added, 1,062 days. 15, and in 5 years, there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon, the days 6 in 8 years amount to 21,832 days. This guy's doing some math. I wish there was a mathematician out there that could check this. I don't know. That just looks like Greek to me. For in 8 years, she falls behind to the amount of 80 days. All the 17 days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. So there are 80 sections of 17-day periods in 8 years, I guess. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with the world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which the sun, rises and sets for 30 days. Whew, boy, that's a lot. I'm sweating over here. The math makes me sweat. So anyway, I wish that we had somebody in here that knew math very well that could check all of this against what we know to be true today. There's no way I can do it. I would be here for a year trying to figure all this out. But it's interesting that he's so specific with his numbering. I bet he's right. I'd bet money on it. But I can't say that he is, so don't listen to me. Can I get a little bit of that fan, please? Whew. Chapter 75, maybe there's no more counting. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands who were placed over the whole creation and over all the stars, the angels, have also to do with the 4 intercalary days. Intercalary days? Intercalary days? Okay. I got to look that word up. I've never heard that word. Intercalary. Intercalary. Intercalary of a day or a month inserted into a calendar to harmonize with the solar year, February 29th, in leap years. That's the leap year, the intercalary, 4 leap years, intercalary. I said that. I wondered if they would mention that. There it is. All right. So you'd be forgiven for not knowing that because I didn't know that. Intercalary means leap year. Have also to do with the 4 leap year days being inseparable from their office according to the reckoning of the year, and these render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. So every year doesn't have this except for those years, right? Every 4 years, there's an extra day, February 29th. That's pretty interesting that he knows that. And owing to them, men who go wrong therein. Is that anything like being left-handed if you're the devil if you're left-handed? And owing to them, the leap years, men go wrong therein. For those luminaries truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the heaven, singular, one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364-day stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days the angel Uriel showed to me. Wow. Whom the Lord of glory hath set forever over all the luminaries of the heaven, singular, in the heaven, singular, and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the heaven and been seen on the earth. So heaven, apparently this heaven is where the stars are. And all the ministering creatures which make their revolution in all the chariots. He's talking about all the stars that sing. Ministering means to sing to or to speak to. So that's what that means. So there's a place in the Bible that talks about the stars singing. And this is talking about the stars ministering, which is the same thing. And this word chariots, by the way, you could translate that word to meaning orbit, its path, the trajectory that it takes. You see that? So the chariots of the stars are the path that they take through the skies. If you take a camera outside and point it up at the pole star, which is Polaris, that's the one that don't move, and you set it on time lapse for a day, take a picture every day, one a day, at the same time of night, every night. When you look at those pictures, you will see that the stars all circle around in a circle, and it'll look like somebody just drew a circle around the whole globe, right? It's really fascinating to see. And they are so precise that they follow the same path in the sky. No matter how many revolutions they make, they're on the same line. That is its chariot. That's what he's talking about, that line that they follow of the heaven. And in like manner, 12 doors, Uriel showed me, open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the heavens. So as the sun moves, there are 12 places where the sun does something. Wonder what this is going to be. Through which the rays of the sun break forth. From them is warmth diffused over the earth when they are opened at their appointed seasons, and for the winds and the spirit of the dew when they are opened, standing open in the heavens, plural, at the ends. Interesting. As for the 12 portals in the heaven, singular, back to singular, at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, the moon, and the stars. So they all follow that same trajectory every single time. And what he's saying is that there are 12 places throughout that procession where the sun shines and it comes down and touches the earth and heats it up. And that warmth, that radiation from the sun causes the wind to blow, causes the dew to start functioning, causes the clouds to start moving. Hot air meets cold air, forms a cloud, then condensation happens. That's what sets in motion our jet stream and all of our weather The sun beating on the earth is what causes that. The moon causes the tides, which push the winds, right? So all of that is in motion on this earth because of those two luminaries. If they weren't there, the earth would be sitting still. The water would putrefy, everything would die. But because they're up there and they move the way that they do, the whole earth functions the way that it does. Fascinating. And the spirit of the dew, when they are open, standing open in the heavens at the ends, as for the 12 portals in heaven, at the end of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the works of the heaven in the east and in the west. There are many windows open to the left and right of them, and one window at its appointed season produces warmth, corresponding, as these do, to those doors from which the stars come forth, according as he commanded them, and wherein they set corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in the heaven running in the world above those portals, in which revolve the stars that never set. They constantly rotate. They don't set because they're up in the heavens moving this way around the pole star, like I told you. And one is larger than all the rest. And it is that makes its course through the entire world. That would be our sun. And without that sun, we would have no life. It's also trying to kill you, but it will keep you alive as long as you don't look at it and don't stand under it for too long. At the end of the earth, I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven, from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face, i.e. the east of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right, the south of the heaven, and 3 on the left, the north of the heaven. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and thereafter those on the left of the south, and 3 on the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. And when they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth and on all the water upon it. I added the word all. And on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water and on the land. I guess we hadn't had too many of those winds. And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting. And from it there comes rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. And through the third portal, which lies towards the north, come cold and drought. And after these come forth the south winds through these portals. Through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth the hot wind, or El Nino, which is Spanish for the Nino. And through the middle portal, next to it, there come forth fragrant smells and dew and rain and prosperity and health. So we're having periods of good weather and periods of bad weather. Good weather, bad weather, good weather, bad weather. Even back then we were having hurricanes and tornadoes. So this is not new. We just have the news now, and they like to be dramatic. That's why we have things like Katrina. Just another hurricane. prosperity, and health. And through the third portal, lying to the west, come forth dew and rain and locusts and desolation. And after these, the north winds. From the seventh portal in the east come dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direction direct health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud and hoarfrost and snow and rain and dew and locusts. And after these four are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew and hoarfrost and cold and snow and frost. And from the middle portal come forth dew and rain and prosperity and blessing. And through the last portal, which adjoins the south, come forth drought and desolation and burning and destruction. And the 12th portals of the 4 quarters of the heavens are therewith completed. And all their laws and all their plagues and all their benefactions have I shown thee, my son Methuselah. You're going to die pretty soon. You might as well know all of this. That's where we're going to stop. We'll start next Sunday. Chapter 77, verse 1, where we will discuss more of the luminaries. Man, what a mathematically intense book that was. That made my brain hurt a little bit. I have no idea whether these figures are still correct. I have no doubt they were when he wrote them down, but I have no idea whether or not they are correct still. The world has changed a lot. Destroyed by a flood and everything. That guy Methuselah that he's talking to, telling all of this to, right? He died. His death caused the flood. God had blessed Methuselah that as long as he was alive, he wouldn't destroy the world. The day Methuselah died, the flood came. That day. So, everything Enoch has told him to this point holds true to that point. I can't count for it after that because the flood changed the whole world, changed everything about the world. The whole face of the earth is different. So I find that fascinating to think about, that this book exists and that so much of it is scientifically accurate that I know about. Then we get into the math and I'm a little fuzzy on that, so a lot fuzzy. I hope that piqued your interest. I hope that it fascinated you a little bit. I hope that it causes you to really think about the world and decide about finding somebody that can do the math on that and tell me if he's right, because I want to know. But most of all, I hope that it causes you to reach out with both hands to Almighty God, your Father, and ask him into your life. Ask him to be a part of it. Ask him to tell you what's wrong and what's right and help you get closer to him. Won't you do that? And while you're thinking about it, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms, and it helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with everybody you love. Better yet, share with everybody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value on what I'm trying to build and you'd like to help me build it, well, join the channel. Get yourself a JTAG. That'll help out immensely. And it'll give you invitation to things that you can't get otherwise. Buy a t-shirt. Leave a super chat in the chat box. But if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings to this humble ministry to help us grow and reach more people and bring more people to God, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband. Or if you're a Cash App user, $jakejohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. It's a blessing to me, but it's a blessing to you too, because God notices when you help his people. And I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. I will answer all of your questions and comments. I will avail myself of you 24/7, as I always do right now. Okay. What do you think? All of my mumbling and stumbling aside, what did you get out of that? What did you learn? What did it make you think about? What did it cause you to bring to mind? Did it cause you to think? Did it seem like bullshit? That didn't sound like bullshit to me. Did it sound like it to you? Tell me what you think. All right. Let's see who's in chat. Amber says, diamonds and hearts. April Rain says, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Much love to y'all. Hey, April. Nice to see you halfway through. I'm glad you're here. Did you say happy birthday to Linda? Amanda says, April, hamburger helper hand. Amber says, eyes, smiley face, and prayers, and hearts. Amy says, hi, April. April says, hi, Amanda, Amber, Amy, hugs, smiley faces, and hearts. Judy says, hey, April. April says, hi, Judy, lovely, smiley face, heart. Kevin Bernard says, hamburger helper hand, April. April says, Kevin, good to see you, hugs, smiley face, and heart. Amy says, so easy, even a caveman can do it. Old commercial on TV. That caveman was writing down some serious stuff for a caveman, though, for sure. I don't even know half that stuff, and I'm not a caveman. Decidedly so. Lady B says, hey, everyone. Hi, Lady B. And Lady B says, hey, Amy. Amanda says, Lady B, hamburger helper hand. Amy says, Lady B, kissy face. Lady B says, Amanda, wavy hand. April says, hey, Lady Love, heart. Lady B says, Amy, kissy face, kissy face. Amber says, Lady B, smiley face with herpes, hearts and prayers. Lady B says, hey, sweet April. Hey, sweetheart, April. Heart, heart, heart. Sorry, my chat jumped. Where we at? 9:07. Kevin says, Lady B, hamburger helper hand. Lady B says, you two and Judy are just precious. Love it. Lady B says, Kevin, heart, 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 prayers. Lady B says, Kevin, smiley, 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 heart, prayers. Lady B says, Kevin's my fave. Smiley face, prayers. Amy says, smiley face. And Judy says, hey, Lady B, smiley face. Lady B says, Judy, precious. Kevin says, Lady B, right back at you. Amy says, that's how I'm shaped. An oblate spheroid, fat in the middle and skinny on the ends. Me too. Lady B says, Kev, next year we can exchange Christmas cards like I did with the others. How's the grandbaby? Lady B says, my first one turns 4 January 11th. The second one and the last one turned 1 in December. Lady B says, Amy, smiley face. Amanda says, Lady, the 11th is a great birthday. It's her birthday. And yes, we will be celebrating it. Lady B says, Amanda, is that yours or Jake's? It's Amanda's. And Kevin says, Lady B, she's beautiful. And Amanda says, mine. Jake's was in December the 10th. April says, my birthday is 4/11. 411. That's information number. Lady B says, I bet. I hope to see a pic sometime. Amy has my cell if you want to share. Amy says, can anyone give a good resource to understand the Trinity better? I'm confused on how the Holy Spirit factors into the Father and the Son. Thanks. You can message me privately or in the group chat. Unfortunately, if there were a way to describe it in a way that would be understandable, I would be taking a position on it. The reason that I don't is because it is meant to be unclear. There is no way to wrap your head around something that is extra dimensional. We live in a dimension that has a beginning and an end and a start and a finish and a front and a back and sides. God does not. Therefore, the being that God is capable of things that we are not. That means we can't even fathom what he can do. So an interdimensional being outside of time, space, and matter is capable of being three things at the same time as being one thing. We are not. That is a dimensional thing. The best way I can describe it to you is that it is dimensional. And that's the best I can tell you because there's nothing on earth or in earth that can illustrate it. The only one would be God. When you see God, you will understand exactly what he is, or what you can understand of what he is. Lady B says, nice, April. My birthday is January 27th, Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Kevin says, Lady B, I'm Aquarius also. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. April says, nice, smiley face. Amy says, this makes sense. The days are longer in the summer and shorter in the winter. Yes, it does make sense. I don't know if his numbers are exactly right because I can't verify them. So I can't put a stamp of approval on it. But I can tell you, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He put a lot of detail into it. If he's wrong perfectly. Lady B says, that's right, Amanda. 3 December birthdays in my bunch, and mine's in January. If my sister was living, hers is January 31st. Lady B says, wow, Kevin, when is your birthday? Kevin says, Lady B, mine's February 6th. Amanda says, nice. My best friend's birthday was the 31st. Amy says, the sun's light reflects off the moon? Yes. The majority of the light that you see from the moon comes from the sun. Yes, the moon does produce its own light, but it's very little. It's a very lesser light. Not enough to light up the sky. Enough to see, but not enough to, like, luminesce. However, when the sun hits the moon and it bounces back, that's the shine that you see. It's actually, you're seeing the sun through a mirror. That's what it looks like. And apparently, when it's a full moon and at its brightest, it's 7 times dimmer than the sun is. Pretty interesting. That I would like to have checked out. I don't know how to verify that. Lady B says, wow, you was almost a Valentine's baby. Winter birthdays. And Lady B says, Amanda, yours is the 11th? Lots of connections, Amanda, says Lady B. Amanda says, yes, 5 days, Capricorn. Whatever that symbol is. And a goat, Capricorn's rule. Yeah, until you go, blah, and they go. And their legs go up in the air. That's the kind of goat I like. I want one of those goats because I can knock them out all the time. Kevin says, without our moon, we'd be screwed. Yes. Quite definitely. Here's another interesting fact about the moon that you may or may not know. We're losing it. It moves away from the earth every year about the speed that your fingernails grow per year. So it's moving at about that speed, the speed of a fingernail growth. And it moves away from the earth that much every year. Which means at some point in the future, a long time from now, it's just going to wander off and keep going, according to science. When it finally reaches a point where it can break the gravity lock that it has with the earth, it'll just wander off, become a wandering plane of its own. If that stands to reason, if you reverse time, that would mean that the earth used to be closer to the earth. And obviously, if you take it to the nth degree, it would be touching the Earth. Well, now we know what happened to the dinosaurs, at least the tall ones. They got mooned. Ha! I stole that one too. You like it? Lady B says, I love it, Amanda. Amy says, that's a lot of cheese. Amy says, yes, Kevin. And Amanda says, the sun is vastly brighter than the moon, around 400,000 to 450,000 times brighter in visible light, because the moon only reflects a refraction of the sunlight that hits it, appearing as dark as asphalt in some areas. The sun's apparent magnitude is about negative 26.7, while the full moon is around negative 12.7, a difference of about 14 magnitudes, which translates to that massive bright disparity. Disparity on the logarithmic scale astronomers use. Now, that math I can do. You ever heard of a fraction? First rule of fraction is you take a fraction number and you reduce it to its lowest fraction form, right? Till you get it like a 1/2 from whatever starts out being. That's remember in math, you'd have to break the fractions down. Well, break 14 down. Be 1/7, right? Think about it. You said that the difference between the sun and the moon is about 14 magnitudes. Magnitude is a random number that is assigned by scientists to describe a luminescence. So about 14 magnitudes, if you break that down, it'd be 1/7. So that would be 7 times or 7-fold brighter than, that's actually the exact number that Enoch gave, if you look at it that way. That's interesting. 14 magnitudes. 7-fold. Or 7 squared. You could look at it that way. Interesting. Lady B says, I will have a half January and February to wear the hoodie whenever it comes in. Mid-March starts getting short sleeve weather. Well, yeah. Well, people wear hoodies all year round these days. But this is a thick one, so you might want to take it off about March, yeah. But you'll have it all year next year. And I'm sorry it took so long to get there. Our shop did break down in the middle of me doing this, so we had to put it on the back burner and get that fixed. And now we're here getting it done. So they're in the shop. They are getting done this week. They will be out as soon as we get finished with them. I've got one order in front of them, so I'll be doing them probably tomorrow afternoon, if I get the films in. If not, be the next day. But that's how it goes. They're in the works. They're coming. Amanda says, I don't know how true the above is, but that's what the internet says. It must be true. Bill Bennett says, hello. All, I'm a little late. I'll catch the rest later. How does the whole world agree on our year 2026? How does the whole world agree on 2020? Well, it don't. Several calendars are in use in the world right now. The Chinese calendar is different than ours. We have what's called the Gregorian calendar is what we're using now. We used to use the Julian calendar, which is a little different than the one we use now. And then before that, we used the Hebrew calendar, which is still in use. And that calendar says we're in like 556 or something like that. 5,000 is the number, not 2. So the whole world does not agree that it's the year 2026. That's just the most popular one. Kevin says, Bill, hamburger helper hand. Amanda says, Bill, hamburger helper hand. April says, hey, Bill, good to see you. Hearts and smiley face. Amber says, Bill, prayers, hearts, and smiley face. Good evening. Lady B says, hey, Bill, how you doing, sir? Bill says, I thought the moon only lit from our sun. That's incorrect. It mostly lights from our sun, but it also makes its own light. Amy says, Bill, wave your hand. April says, lava? Lava? That's a random thing to shout in the middle of a chat room. Lava. Oh, no. Lightning bugs don't light from lava. They light from phosphorescence. That's what I was trying to say. It's phosphorus, phosphate. I couldn't remember that word, phosphate, because I have Alzheimer's or something. CRS, can't remember shit. What it is my hard drive is full, and so it's all jostled about, just trying to stuff papers in everywhere I can get it to put more information in there, sticking in folders, and things get jostled around, and I really need to defrag, and I haven't done so in quite a long time, so I'm just like fragmented. That's really what's going on. So the little circle starts going in my brain when I start looking for stuff. I get the blue screen of death every now and then, just shut down. April says, LOL, joking. The sun is white. Well, not really. But it is very bright. Very, very bright. Lady B says there is a couple from Cullman, Alabama, that went to St. Lucia over the holidays to celebrate a wedding anniversary. They have a teenage son and an animal back home in Cullman. They were expected back. All right. Mark Cullen says, wave your hand. What's up, Mark? Nice to see you, buddy. What it is? Nice to see you, too. He says, hello to all. Did you guys wish Linda a happy birthday? Amanda says, hi, Mark. Wave, hamburger helper hand. Judy says, hey, Bill. Amanda says, what it is, hamburger helper hand. Kevin says, what it is, hamburger helper hand. Amy says, with a diameter of 3,475 kilometers, the moon is about 1/4 the size of the Earth, though, and that does make it the largest moon when compared to the size of its parent solar system planet. Yes, all planets have moons. Ours is the biggest one by far, according to the size of our planet. It's not the biggest moon, it's the biggest moon according to the size of the planet that it orbits. That makes sense. There are bigger moons, but not in relationship to the planet. Jupiter has a couple bigger moons, but Jupiter is huge. Jupiter's like almost as big as half the sun, or something like that. I don't know exactly how big it is. Really big, though. Kevin says, Mark, hamburger helper hand. April says, hi, Mark. And what it is, good to see you. Smiley face hearts. Amy says, hey, what it is. And hey, Mark. Hey, Marcus. Oh, you get the royal treatment. Marcus Aurelius. Lady B says the Coleman couple won't leave St. Lucia until January 11th because of the Venezuela stuff. Fights are halted until January 11th. Flights. All right. Note to self, don't go to Venezuela during a battle. Probably a bad move. Or wherever Coleman is. Or St. Lucia, rather. Where is St. Lucia? Lady B says, hey, what? St. Lucia's is in Florida. Okay. Well, then why are they worried about what's happening in Venezuela? What's that got to do with the flights in Florida? I don't either. Lady B says, hey, what it is? Wave your hand. Amber says, Mark, cool, smiley face with herpes and prayers. Good evening and welcome. Judy says, hey, Mark, and hey, Mark. Hey, Mark, and hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. And hey, what it is. But you only get it once. Amanda says, when the sun and moon appear to rise and set near each other, it is often part of a zigzag. A sizig. A shigigi. A shigigi. A shigigi. Which is the alignment of the sun, earth, and moon, but the specific visuals of them near the horizon is common. Right. It happens often enough they gave it a name. Amber says, what it is. Smiley face with herpes and prayers. Good evening, friend. Welcome, Mark. Amanda says, during the new moon, sun and moon together, or full moon, sun, moon, and opposite. Sun and the moon are opposite, especially near equinoxes, creating stunning sunrise, moonrise, or sunset, moonset views as they're near the same part of the sky. Nice. Mark says, hi and thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be here. And I hope you all have had a great New Year's. I hope you have too, Mark. How's it going, buddy? Lady B says, hey, Mark, good to see you. Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla, what's up, buddy? Long time no see. How you doing? Kindness is a choice, and one I'm choosing in 2026. Who's with me? It's not overrated. No, it's not. And at the end of every broadcast, I tell people to go out into the world and be nice. Watch it change your life. Every single broadcast. I've always done that, and I always will, because it's true. Being nice is a choice, and when you make it, it makes everybody notice something weird about you, something good about you. They want to be part of it. It'll actually open doors for you. So I'm with you, Gypsy, and good on you. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand gorilla. April says, thanks, Mark. It was a nice love. Nice New Year's. How was yours? Hearts, prayers, and smiley faces. Lady B says, I unplugged from social media from December up until this week. Judy says, it costs nothing to be nice, and we should all do it. I agree, Judy, 100%. Lady B says, it was nice, Mark. And hey, Judy, we are having a good time, aren't we? Well, I'm having a good time. I don't know about you. Gypsy says, it costs everything to be nice, really, if you think about it. I don't see how, but go ahead. Tell us how. It gains everything to be nice. And Judy says, yes, we are, Lady B. And Lady B says, I'm with you, GVG. GVG. I like it. And Judy says, please explain, GVG. Lady B says, I couldn't see GVG until I went on all messages, but that is how it works. Lady B says, Gypsy, GVG is easier. And Judy says, right, Lady B? Gypsy says, absolutely, GVG, that's fine. Jeff and Tammy. Jeff and Tammy. At least it ain't Jim and Tammy, right? Amanda says, if you weren't going so fast, I could check all the math, LOL. I know, right? I got to end sometime. Thank you very much. Bible study night. Appreciate that. Amanda says, gorilla, hamburger helper hand. And April says, LOL, smiley face. LOL, smiley face. Lady B says, where y'all from, Tammy? Alabama here. How you know that's not Jeff? April says, hi, gorilla. And Gypsy says, Northwest Ohio. April says, Florida. Kevin says, it's enough for me just to know that Enoch created the 364-year calendar thousands of years ago. I know, right? That is very interesting. It's interesting that he got it right because, you know, everybody for all my life has said 365 days a year, but it ain't that. It's actually less than that. Lady B says, Amanda, what's the verdict on the hoodies talked about on November 12th? That's why my email shows the chat about them. I just told you about the hoodies twice in this podcast. If you were listening, you heard me tell you what was going on. Okay. Amanda says they got delivered to the shop today, and Jake will be printing them and sending them out this week. And Gypsy says, all the things of this world were taught to the Egyptians and the Aztecs and the others by fallen angels years ago, including this same information. That is the information that we're covering there, Gypsy. That's exactly what we're reading about. You should probably come at the beginning of the show, and then you would hear us say all of that stuff. It's all good, though. You're absolutely right. Lady B says, I'm excited, Amanda and Jake. I love y'all. We love you, too. Amanda says, so about 2 weeks-ish. And by the way, I can't account for how long it's going to take to get there in the mail. I don't know. But I'll be done with them, and they'll be in the mail this week. However long it takes to get to you, that's not, I don't know. I don't have any idea about that. Might be 3 days. Might be 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm actually kind of glad I'm not mailing them before Christmas, because that would have really put a damper on them getting to you. And increased the likelihood of getting lost in the mail and such. A lot of that happens over Christmas. So I'm actually glad we're through that portion. Amanda says, Lady Heart. Gypsy says, of course, my opinion, which also means nothing, so keep that in mind. No, your opinion means everything. That's why we have a channel, and that's why you're allowed to talk, because we listen to everybody's opinion. And your opinion happens to be correct. And as I was saying earlier, we're reading about the fallen angels and what they taught to mankind. That's what the book that we're reading is about. Now, Lady B says, Amanda, that goes to show what I know or don't know. I thought y'all had an overhead of inventory. No, I'm making them by hand. Amy says, math needs to grow up and solve its own problems. I agree. Gypsy says, all knowledge and wisdom and truth comes from the mouth of God and kept in his word, which is what we now call the Bible. Well, the word is what we call Christ. The Logos is Christ physically, and the Bible is the word of God, but it's not the word. When the Bible says in the beginning was the word, it's not the Bible it's talking about. It's Jesus that he's talking about. The Logos. In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. And Logos means the understanding of the material that we're reading about. It's the understanding, the knowledge, the logic behind what we're studying. So that's what Christ is, metaphysically speaking. So when you say the word, capital letter, word, you're saying Christ, not the Bible. The Bible is just a book. It's a handbook. And it in and of itself has no intrinsic power or value other than the fact that it records the valuable words that Christ spoke and God spoke and what happened, and it accurately records history, which makes it valuable. But the proof is in the picking, not in the listening. You know what I'm saying? And Judy says, GVG, your opinions mean just as much as everyone else's. Absolutely. And Amanda says, usually do, but had to order these. LOL. Lady B says, be my birthday from y'all. I'll be watching in the mail stuff from Alabama to next week. Gypsy says, and Jesus, he is the word in the flesh. Yes. You got it. Lady B says, amen, GVG, prayers. Amanda says, okay, thanks, lady. Gypsy says, I'm just a goofball entertainer and outdoor enthusiast, so pay me no mind. Just me chillaxing with y'all. Hey, that's all right, Gypsy. And what kind of entertainer are you? You a guitar player? You know, I am too. Or I was. I can't really do it anymore. I'm losing my voice. But I used to. I can still play. I just can't sing anymore. Amy says, 12 portals in heaven? The day and night are each 12 hours. The number 12 is reoccurring in the Bible as well. It's not a coincidence about the number 12, in my opinion. 12 months in the Gregorian calendar, too. 12 disciples, 12 notes in the musical scale, 12 days of Christmas. It goes on and on and on and on. Believe that. 12 chakras. It keeps going. There's more. I just can't think of them all off the top of my head, but it's everywhere. The number 12 is very important. 12, 3, 9, 7, and 5 are all very valuable numbers, and they repeat a lot. Nikola Tesla said if you wanted the keys to God's kingdom, you need to understand 3, 6, and 9. That's what he said. Those words verbatim. What he meant by that, I don't know, but that's what he said. Interesting. Nikola Tesla is the guy who gave us technology, basically. He had a dream and woke up and built radio-controlled stuff, and he could visualize it and then build it in his head before he ever touched anything to build it with, and that's why we have electricity. No, not because a guy flew a key on a kite. That's a myth. Lady B says, Amanda, you sent me your email. Can you grab my email from Jake? It's in November email. I would like you to send me an email. I will reply with something for you and Jake. I appreciate heart. We'll get that done. Amanda says, here's my email address. Lady B. I think she wants you to send her an email. April says, right on, Gorilla, thumbs up. Smiley face and hearts. Lady B says, I lost paper. It was written during Thanksgiving. Hoopla. Huh? Amy says, Lady B, I gave the chat your contact information and you said it was okay. Lady B says, thank you. I thought it said Amy Elizabeth something. Lady B says, no, just the folks that send me cards or talk and reply to me. I'm old school and very private. Kevin says 12 portals, 4 seasons. Yes. So what he's saying is that there are 12 known portals that the sun moves through, right? But in between each one of those portals are other portals, right? I don't remember the exact breakdown of the numbers. I think it was 6, but what he was saying was you can see where the sun moves through the sky throughout the month, right? And there are 12 lines that it goes down as it goes through the month. But there's windows on both sides of each one of those lines where things happen all the way through. He was describing cosmic rays and winds and solar winds and I guess you could go all the way to, like particles like Higgs boson particles and things that are bombarding the Earth every day, gamma radiation and that sort of thing. He's describing the world absorbing space, basically. It's very interesting if you really think about what he's saying or he's describing. It's pretty interesting. But yes, 4 seasons. And those 4 seasons are because we're on a 23.4 degree axis. Do you know what the opposite of that is? 66.6, just so you know. The inverse of that. I thought that was interesting. Amy says, those are the same people in the chat, Lady B. Yes. Mr. P's here. Hey, John. John says, good evening, all. Just on it. Working nights this week. God bless. Well, I'm glad you're here, buddy. Kevin says, John, hamburger upper hand. Amanda says, Mr. P, hamburger upper hand. Amy says, Mr. P, wave your hand. And Amanda says, my email is above in the chat, lady. I think she wants you to email her so she can email you a poem she wrote. I think that's what's happening here. April says, hi, John Love. Heart, good to see you. And Kevin says, north, south, east, west, 4 seasons. You got it. That's what it sounded like to me. And Amanda said, great read, Jake. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me stumbling through all of it. Bill Bennett says, hard to follow, LOL. I love you all. Sweet dreams. Yeah, it's kind of tough. But that's the beauty of being able to sit and think about something and then talk about it afterwards. If you're really interested in the subject matter, you can break it apart and discover what it's talking about by talking about it. That's the beautiful thing about having conversations. I kind of like that idea myself. April says, yes, I agree, Jake, LOL, but interesting. Amen. Prayers. Thank you. Kevin said, great read. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you all very much. Amanda says, good night, Bill. Kevin says, good night, Bill. Amber says, whoa, that was difficult to keep up with. Thank you, Jake. It was. And some parts of the Bible are like that. But it's also important to grasp what they're saying because they're saying stuff that's important. Some of it's complicated. That's true. If it was easy, it would be too easy, and that would smell like bullshit. The fact that it's complicated and it says a lot more than even we can grasp tells me that they're telling something, some semblance of truth. Imagine if you opened the Bible and it was just like a nursery rhyme, easy to read through the whole thing, no problem. All third grade stuff. Would that inspire confidence? I don't think it would. Judy says, hey, John. April says, good night, Bill. We love you too. Hearts and prayers. Patty says, good night, Mr. Bill. April says, hey, lovely Patty. Hearts and prayers. Patty's sitting back there so quiet. Judy says, bye, Bill. And Patty says, hey, sweet April, Rose. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, Patty. Patty says, hey there, Mr. Kevin. Lady B says, hey, Patty, heart. April says, I learned Enoch created a calendar. Yep. I wouldn't say he created it because an angel told him about it and then showed it to him. So he wrote it down, but it was given to him by an angel. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that the Bible was written on parchment with chicken bones by cavemen. And they like to remind us of that to describe that those old people couldn't possibly know anything that we don't know now as scientists, enlightened people. Come to find out, they were way smarter than we are sometimes. My chat jumped. Hang on. It was an April comment. All right, here we go. April says, good night, Bill. We love you too. Patty says, good night, Mr. Bill. April says, hey, lovely Patty. That's where we left off at. And Judy says, bye, Bill. Patty says, hi, sweet April. Rose. And Kevin says, Patty, hamburger helper hand. Patty says, hey there, Mr. Kevin. We read all that. So it was 9:52. Lady B says, hey, Patty, heart. There's it. April says, I learned Enoch created a calendar. Yep, that's it. Gypsy says, nicely said and well produced. I wanted to give, and I'm broke. Well, you just did give. You gave me a compliment. That's a gift. Listen, Gypsy, I love you being here. And if you get a paycheck, by all means, send me some money. I could use it. You are not required to pay me anything. My gift this is for you for free. If you pay me, I want you to be clear about this. If you pay me, it's because you want to. It's because you think I deserve it. Because you think I'm working hard for it. But This transaction has already been transacted. You got what I gave you. It's free. Enjoy. I love you. Love God. That's why we're here. April says, hey, happy birthday, Linda. Lovely. I hope you had a wonderful day. Hugs and love. Prayers. Or hearts, rather. And Gypsy says, I did all the free stuff, if that helps. Thank you. Being here helps, Gypsy. Showing up. That matters. Thank you. You get some money in your pocket, then you can send me a little something. That'd be fine. But right now, you take care of you and learn the Word of God. That's why we're here. Amanda says, you're here, Gorilla. That helps. Thanks. Yes. Linda says, I made it through the read, and I didn't follow the chat because my eyes feel like they are on fire. But I love you all, and hello to all that I missed. Much love, and see you all Wednesday night. Well, I'm sorry you feel so bad, Linda. I wish we could make your day a little more special and a little brighter. And I hope that, you know how much we love you. And we're praying for you, and I hope you get to feeling better soon. And if there's anything you need, please reach out. You got my number. And we'll see you Wednesday night. God bless and get some rest. And happy birthday. Gypsy says, I like this guy. Thank you. I like you too. Amy says, good night, Cookie, and happy birthday. Believe me, I'm an acquired taste, Gypsy. But if you got it, awesome. And Judy says, please get better, Linda. And April says, good night, Linda. Love, prayers, and hugs. Hearts, prayers, and smiley faces with herpes. Kevin says, good night, Linda. Amber says, prayers, hearts, and prayers, Linda. And Amanda says, good night, birthday girl. Feel better soon. We love you. Gypsy says, we saw God and Jesus and in his creation and through his word, but we still have no idea. God is big, and he could swallow the outer space. Well, yeah, he's outside of outer space. Whatever space is, he's outside of that. Whatever time is, he's outside of that. Whatever matter is, he's outside of that and can see all of it with one glance. All of it, start to finish. That's why he can see everything. It's not a thing that you can grasp. You shouldn't even attempt to. That will drive you crazy. Trust me, I know. Don't ask me how I know, but trust me, I know. The brain is 3 pounds of peanut butter-like gray matter. That's what it is. It has no moving parts. It has no technology. It has no inners or outers. It's just mush. And it does whatever it does for our bodies. That 3-pound mass cannot contain the knowledge of what God is. It can't contain it. It would drive you insane. It would make you break down in every way. There's no possible way to internalize what God is. That's why the word Israel means to wrestle with God. That's what it means. That's what the word means, to wrestle with God. And he named his people that. Because if you're not struggling with it, you're not Christianing right. You're supposed to be struggling, pushing against it, asking questions, trying to understand, trying to wrap your head around it, and failing. Can't be perfect. Only Christ was perfect. Can I get another cup of that coffee? Thank you. Amy says, today would have been my husband and me's 35th wedding anniversary. It's a little depressing, but it's not. We made it farther than most couples through sickness and in health, better or worse. Well, you just nailed it right on the head right there, Amy. You guys made it until death intervened. Otherwise, you'd still be going. That's beautiful. That's not something to be depressed about. That's something to celebrate. Congratulations on that. You guys were the way it's supposed to be done. Right? For better or worse, whatever happened, however imperfect, that's the way it's supposed to be done because you stuck it out. That's what God had in mind. And now, regardless of what took him, regardless of what was on this side of death, He's with the Father right now, and there ain't no place anywhere in existence better than that. He is happy, he is informed, and he's leaping about the galaxy with the Father. I wouldn't wish that away from anybody. That's awesome. So you should be happy today. And look what you've got in its place. A whole family of people that love you and are happy to have you at their side. Sounds to me like you got a blessing for that good commitment. So be happy today. Thank you. God does bless those who do what he expects them to. Amy says, and death did us part. Yep, that's how it works. That is the promise you made, right? And you kept it. And so did he. I'm proud of you both. I've tried it like 5 times. And I've never been able to do it once. April says, LOL. Amanda says, fainting goats are so funny. Ah! I know. Oh, I love it. I want like 5 of them. And Judy says, happy anniversary, Amy. It still counts. Amanda says, Capricorn sign. I know that. Patty says, Jake, do you know about the calendar that we really should be looking at? Like, I know September 7th through the 8th equals October 9th. November 10th equals December in Latin. Having said that, I think we are really in October if we are going by the calendar. No. There are several different calendars that we have used over the span of time. We started out using the Hebrew calendar, and then we went to the Alexandrian calendar, and then switched immediately to the Julian calendar, or vice versa. I can't remember which. We used the Julian calendar for quite a while. It's where we get the days of the week from, and some of the months, like July, which is the Julian month that they added, or they took whatever it was before that and renamed it July. And then we switched from that to the Gregorian calendar, which we now use. And yeah, there is some discrepancy between the months, depending on which version of the calendar you're looking at. And there are several. And there's a few that are proposed that we didn't adopt, but are out there. And they have different numbers too. Yes, I'm familiar with them. But it boils down to this. We're about 2,000 years from the death of Christ. That's accurate. Doesn't really matter what the number is. It's going to happen when it happens. I say live by the calendar that we know about, because that's the one we base everything off of. And it may be that we're in a different time, but there's no way to verify that. So you just live by the calendar that you are used to. Amber says, okay, another cup of coffee. Be right back. Bathroom break. I'm do that pretty soon. I had to pee about 5 minutes after I pressed go, so we're getting there. Lady B says, thinking of Amy on this day, heart. April says, heard. Thumbs up. Heard? Like, you heard? Is that what you're saying? Lady B says, Amanda, some family neighbors of mine show goats like a dog show, but it's goats. Some will faint mid-show. Yep, those are fainting goats. I love them. Amanda says, that's cool, lady. And yes, they faint when they're startled. My friend raised them. Amy says, I like goat milk soap. I don't think I've ever tried that. Lady B says, thank you a million times, Jake and Amanda, for the hoodie. And I am grateful and appreciate you both. Well, we appreciate you too. That's what that hoodie means, that we appreciate your visiting and being part of this and participating. And it's just a little thank you. So thank you. And it will be wonderful when you get it, I think. I tried really hard to make it good, so Patty says, and these numbers are also why men were taking care of their flock when Jesus of Nazareth was born, September. But I digress there, because men are not taking care of flocks in the middle of winter. However, I think we are really in October 15th today, so I just want your take. Okay, well, my take is you don't have to move the calendar. They actually applied the number December 25th because of Constantinople. When Constantine was ruler over that portion of the world, he instituted a national religion. And he did that in the name of peace. He himself was a secularist, an atheist, if you will. He might have had a bunch of gods, but they weren't our God. But he recognized that Christianity was a peaceful group. So he made it the national holiday, the national religion. And in doing so, he pulled all of the pagan religions together and kind of bundled them all together into Christianity. That's why you have paintings of Christ with the halo over his head. That's sun worship mixed in with Christianity. And then they picked December 25th for a host of reasons, most of all because of that's the solstice holiday that people celebrate and come together on. And so they just made that Jesus' birthday. But nowhere in the Bible does it say that. In fact, it gives a date in the Bible and tells you when he was born. And you can do the math. And it is somewhere around September that he was born for a whole bunch of reasons. Not because the calendar moved. They just got the wrong date for Christmas. That's all. They weren't even attempting to be right when they made it December 25th. They weren't trying to be correct. They just picked that date because it was popular. And everybody was already coming together. So, and Christmas as we know it now only came into being in the 40s when Macy's was invented. And then, so they started this whole Santa Claus thing. And they started that campaign. And that's what makes Christmas what it is. All the jingles and things that we know about today were all written in the 30s and 40s to celebrate this marvel of modern salesmanship called Santa Claus. There you go. All those things combined to the world we live in today. But doesn't really matter what the date is. What matters is you have a good understanding of where things go. Jesus was born not in the wintertime. He might have been conceived in the wintertime, but he was born in around September. And April is the first day of the month according to God. Doesn't matter what the calendar says. We know that it's still correct, though. Here's how you know. Because of the Sabbath. In the very beginning of the Bible, God labeled out 7 days. 7 24-hour periods. And he called that the first day, the second day, on down to the seventh day, and he rested, and it was good. He called it good. And from that day forward, the Jews, upon their soul, have kept that Sabbath day. Now, the calendar's moved around a few times. They've taken days out and added days in, but they've always kept that 7-day week from the beginning of time until now. And it's incumbent upon their soul to do so, so I know they're right. They haven't let go of that 7-day week from the beginning of time until now. And that way you know that's correct, that we have a 7-day week, and there's 52 weeks in a year. On and on, on and on and on and on, right? It doesn't matter what number the date is, just know where things belong. That's my take on it. And I hope that helps. Amanda says, you're welcome, Lady B. And Lady B says, Amy, does it moisturize good? That's kind of personal. Lady B says, moisturize typo. Amy says, yes, ma'am. And Patty says, winter. I read that one. Lady B says, I might have to get some goat milk soap I don't know if I want goat milk soap. I'll be happy with my fat ass soap. You'd have to watch Fight Club to know what I'm talking about. Amy says, Lady B, it doesn't have that harsh additives either. April says, I agree. Thumbs up. Yeah, I like Irish Spring. I'll stick with that. Anything that smells like that, I'll do it. What's the other soap we use? That's it? Irish Spring. Okay. Well, there's 2 or 3 different soaps that have that same scent. Whatever it is. I don't care for Procter & Gamble stuff, so she buys the Irish Spring. I buy the dollar store stuff that smells like it. But that's what I smell like, in case you're wondering. Irish Spring. Manly. Ooh. Amanda says, if you guys want to see something very cool and enlightening, download the free app called 𝕹𝕚𝕓𝕝𝕪. It is so fun. There you go. Check that out. That'll give you an idea what the stars do and what you can visualize the portals in heaven that God was talking about and their processions and how they move with that app. And they'll give you the names of them and highlight their constellations and all kind of stuff. Amanda can tell you all about it. Amanda says she might be talking about St. Lucia in the Caribbean also. I don't know who she was talking about, but if it's in Florida, I don't know why Venezuela would stop flights going to Florida. And Lady B says, I struggle with dry skin in the winter. I literally have coconut oil on my feet, right? At my feet. I literally have coconut oil on my feet at night with those super soft socks. I use Aquifer on my body and Clinique moisturizer Surge for my face and neck. The reason that you're having trouble with dry skin is because of all that garbage you're putting on your skin. Stop doing that. Don't put that stuff on your skin anymore, especially the coconut oil. That is nothing oily about coconut oil. It's bad, bad, bad. Let your skin become oily. That will fix the dry skin. You're scraping off all the stuff your skin is producing every day. You're literally from head to toe coating yourself with gunk to get rid of what your skin does naturally. Think about that. And you're suffering from dry skin. Maybe stop doing all of that, and your skin will no longer be dry. That's my guess. I might be wrong. Patty says, I'm thinking this may be important when God's word says, pray your flight not be in the winter. I'm curious about the calendar. Okay. There's a real easy way to fix that. The reason God said, pray that your flight not be in the winter, or woe to the woman with child who has to leave in the winter, is because it's harsh. And that journey will be cold and hard, right? Here's how you know. Are you ready? If you go outside and it's cold, that's the time he's talking about. Doesn't matter what year it is. Pray your flight not be in winter because it's harsh. That's why. We have cars, they didn't. We have heat, they didn't. So it'll be okay. Amanda says vitamin E oil works way better than coconut oil, Lady B. It does. Anything that's actual oil works better than coconut oil. Coconut oil is very thin and not very oily at all. I don't know why anybody uses coconut oil. Ugh. Try motor oil. That's oily. No, seriously. Like aloe vera. Try that. Or vitamin E oil. Amy says goat's milk soap with vitamin E oil and shea butter. I got some at Ross. $3 a bar. Well, the black people know their way around ashy skin. So 3 billion of them can't be wrong. Shea butter probably works very well. I don't like the smell of it, but a lot of people use it. So it's probably very good. Patty says, Amy, smiley face and prayers, or sleepy face and prayers, and a rose. That is a sleepy face, right? Or a frowny face, I can't tell. That's a sleepy face. And Lady B says, Amanda, did I say the wrong thing? No. They were there before the Venezuela attack. And yeah, it's where you said, Florida. Okay. So no, you didn't say the wrong thing. I was asking the question, why would the flights be stopped if they're in Florida? What's that got to do with Venezuela? Amanda says, no, lady, Jake asked where St. Lucia's was. And I said, Florida. And there is a port at St. Lucie in Florida. I was correcting myself. Lady B says, take vitamin E internally. If anyone has scar or stretch marks, oil works great. Yep, it does. But not coconut oil. Olive oil also works very good for stretch marks or scars. Olive oil is God's oil, so it's got a lot of nutrients and special things about it. And if you pray over it, it becomes holy oil, so you can use it to anoint. I'm a believer in olive oil. Amanda says, yes, Lady B, they have regular E-oil. I swear by it. I used it on my kids and all. Lady B says, Jake, I was listening. If you will remember, Amanda and I had a discussion in typing, and you are now repeating it. Yeah, that's how the show works. Untethered Live. That's how that goes. I love you, Jake, and I am so grateful for you, your live, and the help of Amanda, and thank you. You're welcome. What are you getting at there? You were listening. I do remember. You were having a conversation, and I am repeating it. I'm not sure what the point is, but yeah, that's how this works. Lady B says, we appreciate you, Jake, and all you do. Thank you. I am listening. I was late today because I had supper. I had supper, too. It was good. Lady B says, Amanda, I will get some for sure. Thank you, dear. Ooh, somebody's getting some. Amanda says, yeah, lady. I told him that we were talking about it. And way before he explained it in the first time, and he forgets he's behind us in chat. I ain't forgot. I'm just responding to what's in front of me. I'm not behind you in chat. You're in front of me in chat. I am on time. I start the show. I read the show. I end the show. Where you are in the future is nebulous to where I'm at in real time to what's happening in front of me. Therein lies the difference in what you're reading and what I'm reading. It's not that I'm behind. It's that it happened, and now I'm living through it. I am living in a different time than you're living in because I'm living by the clock on the ticker. You're living by the clock in your room. Different times. That's the reason my sister doesn't watch the show, because she can't wrap her head around the fact that you say something and then you wait until I respond to it. It's not going to be an immediate conversation because I'm in a different time than you are. It's like talking to somebody on the moon. There's a delay. And you guys are having a conversation in real time while I'm on a different time having a conversation linearly. You're having a conversation laterally. See the difference? Patty says, oh, Kevin, yes, 12 portals, 4 seasons. Very exciting. Or so exciting. Yes, it is. Lady B says, gotcha, Amanda. Patty says, and I have heard about April being the first. It is the first. Yes, April is the first. God appointed April the first month. This is a redo, if you want to look at it that way. God created the world went on, things happened, the flood happened, blah, blah, blah. But then God said, all right, from this day forward, April 1st will be the first day of the month, and you will call it that. Now, I don't know if he said that because that's the first day he started, or if their calendar was off, or if he just, like an Etch-a-Sketch, started over. I don't know why he did it, but somewhere after the flood, he made April 1st. That's the first day of the month. First month, first day. That will be the first month of the year. Why we use January has something to do with Julius Caesar. And for whatever reason, they made that decision. I don't know why. But April, according to God, is the first month of the year. And that's the way it should be. So actually, the spring equinox is Passover. 14 days past the spring equinox is Passover. So it would make sense that's in the first day or the first month, because the first week was 7 days. And then that business in the Garden of Eden. And you can look at it like that. See what I'm saying? And then there was Cain and Abel. So you can look at it like that, because God repeats timelines. He also uses the same location a lot of times, like the same place that Isaac was almost crucified or sacrificed. That's the same hill that Christ was crucified on. Several other things occurred in that same area throughout the Bible in different times. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Amanda says, yes, Patty, and that's how we know Jesus wasn't born in December. Right on. And Amanda says, he was more likely born in September-ish. Yeah, somewhere in that area. Maybe not exactly September, but somewhere definitely closer to it. Lady B says, Amanda, sometimes I think that Jake and I have somewhat same personalities. I am auburn-headed and stubborn and strong type. And I get a kick, and I get tickled at Jake, aggravated at the same time. I wouldn't trade it. I'm not aggravated. I'm just trying to breathe and talk and read. And, you know, I've got currently 11 different or 10 different personalities hitting me at one time. And I'm trying to decipher all of those and respond in kind. But I'm not aggravated. And my mother was a redhead, Auburn redhead. Lady B says, Amanda, smiley, smiley. And Amanda says, LOL, yeah, lady. Lady B says, telling me to listen, grr. Maybe you should. You might find out I know a thing or two. You're here for a reason. And Amanda says, he does that to everyone. That's Jake for you. Lady B says, Lamau, Amanda, no poem. I will elaborate via email. It will make sense. And Amanda says, okay, lady. Lady B says, I know. Hang on, my chat jumped. Lady B says, I know. Love Jake's sense of humor. That's a given. Thank you. Kevin says, Enoch uses precise measurements. Hard to believe it's BS. Yeah, I'm not sure it is BS. I just can't verify it because I'm not good at math. I wish I was. I wish I had a mathematician that would say, yep, that's right. But I can't do it. But it sounds right. It don't it? Everything he said sounds, when he said it, I'm picturing it happening. So it sounded right. Lady B says, agreed, Kevin. Amy says, I found a hat in the free pile at work. It's a white Gilligan's hat, like Gilligan's Island, but white. Nice. Which kind, like the Skipper or like Gilligan? One of the floppy hats? And Lady B says, send a pic. I bet it's cute on you. Wash it first, though. Make sure you get the bugs out of it. And Kevin says, Amy, can you send Lady B my picture if you want? Or you can send her his picture if you want. Lady B says, I bought some Lysol laundry sanitizer for stuff like that. Soak the hat at least 15 minutes with 4 tablespoons of bleach. And the hat will be sanitized and clean and from bacteria. And Lady B says, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Kevin says, Lady B, no problem. Amy says, sent. And Lady B, I'm allergic to bleach. So are colors. Amanda says, OMG, Amy, I would die if I was allergic to bleach. I would die. I love bleach. And Lady B says, Amanda, Lysol bleach sanitizer is bleach-free. Amy says, Amanda, vinegar and other non-bleach alternatives for me. Patty says, message retracted. I can't read it if you retract it. Lady B says, Amanda, I'm gonna pinch his nose off telling me how to deal with dry skin. I'm gonna pinch his nose off, Amanda. 𝕰𝕦𝕬𝕪. Well, you can, but I don't have dry skin. At all. No zits. Never. Perfect skin. I don't do anything at night. I don't put anything on my skin. So, pinch my nose off all you want. Don't make me wrong. And Lady B says, smiley, smiley, smiley. Amanda says, love y'all. I'm getting ready to drive home. Amy says that, not Amanda. I swear y'all's names look exactly the same to me. Love y'all. I'm getting ready to drive home. I'm sitting quietly until then. See you Wednesday, Amy. I love you, sweet lady. Thank you for everything you do. God bless you. Lady B says, please be safe, Amy. And Debbie says, I use olive oil. I believe in olive oil. Judy says, bye, Amy. Lady B says, Amanda gonna get him good. Amanda says, good night, Amy. Patty says, thank you, Jake and Miss Amanda. It's always good to hear your thoughts on my concerns. Fellowship is good, and good night, everybody. Patty, God bless you, sweet lady. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you Wednesday. And Amanda says, you're welcome, Patty. Good night. Lady B says, smiley, smiley, smiley. Judy says, bye, Patty. Lady B says, see you later, Judy. Judy says, bye, Lady B. Lady B says, Kevin, great pictures, precious grandbaby. I don't either in the summer. Native American has dry skin in the winter. I am Native American. Look at the face. I know it's white, but it's there. See the cheekbones? I am Native American. I have no dry skin. Look at it. It's oily. Nice and sheen. I don't burn either. And Lady B says, good night, y'all. Good night, y'all. And I am too. I am Cherokee. I am Cree. I think there's a little Cherokee in there somewhere, but Cree is an off-brand of Creek Indians, which are in Oklahoma now, but they used to be in Georgia before the war, and they were moved. I'm a quarter Irish, the rest Indian. I got the white skin, but everything else is Indian. My mother was an auburn, fiery redhead, that's why my skin is white. Everybody else in my family look exactly the same. All right, that's it. That's the bottom of the chat, and my voice is gone, and it's 11 o'clock, so I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you all so very much for being with me and enjoying the study tonight. I hope you learned something. I hope it was interesting. I hope I brought it to life good enough, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. God bless you all. Listen, when you go out into the world tomorrow, be nice to somebody. I promise you it'll change your life. Watch and see if it don't. Generic brand Jake. Yes, is a generic brand of Indian, but still is an Indian. Amanda says, good night all. See you Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for Chill Stream. Much love. Judy says, bye, y'all. Kevin says, good night, everybody. Lady B says, Amanda Hart. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.